episode of this series of Women Through Literature. In this episode, we'll be analyzing the influence of women over men committing crimes. So, today we'll be analyzing the great Lady Macbeth in Shakespeare's play Macbeth and Abigail Williams from The Crucible.
So, let's give a little context for the listeners who haven't read these two plays. So, as for Macbeth, written by William Shakespeare in the 1600s, we follow the story of this brave, trusted warrior, Macbeth, who leads an army to victory, and after this, he happens upon three witches who prophesize he is to become the king. Also, his friend and fellow soldier, Banquo, will be the father of many kings. Macbeth writes to his wife to tell her about this prophecy. Our protagonist, Lady Macbeth, who is blinded by ambition, persuades Macbeth to kill King Duncan when they come to visit. Soon after, they both plot to murder the king. Lady Macbeth tries to do it herself, but she is incapable of doing so. So, actually, it is Macbeth who does it with his bare hands. After that, he rises to power, but as he sits on the throne, he still wonders about the prophecy for Banquo and grows suspicious about Macbeth's rise to the throne. Macbeth, seeing Banquo as a threat, hires assassins to kill Banquo and his son. The new Scottish king's paranoia, as a result of his guilt, starts to increase. Lady Macbeth also goes insane, and she starts having hallucinations caused by her extreme guilt and her inability to wash away her sins, which eventually leads her to commit suicide. Ultimately, Macbeth is killed by Macduff, and the throne goes back to Duncan's son.
So let's dive deep into the world of The Crucible. So The Crucible is a play written by Arthur Miller in 1952, and we follow the story of the town Salem in which a group of girls was found dancing in the woods. One of these girls, Betty, faints when she sees Reverend Paris in the woods. After that, Betty starts behaving strangely and people think she has been bewitched. Abigail, one of the girls in the forest, fears that they will be caught because they were actually trying to practice witchery. So she makes all the girls agree not to tell the truth. Proctor, who had an affair with Abigail months ago, finds out the truth, but Abigail tries to win him back. Proctor rejects Abigail and she is furious. A servant who has been accused of practicing witchcraft and encouraging the girls to do the same, actually confesses to having seen the devil and starts accusing and naming people from the town. Abigail starts doing the same in an attempt to accuse Proctor's wife. Abigail and many others start accusing people in the town of witchcraft, and they are sent to a trial and later hanged. When Abigail is confronted, she's able to have people side with her. And then she robs Reverend Paris and escapes the town. At the end of the play, Proctor is not able to lie and confesses as most people did, and he is finally hanged. So, two very interesting plays, but we are going to take our today's protagonists, Lady Macbeth and Abigail. Abigail is a rather complex character, right? She has some of the traits of a villain. In her society, which was a Puritan society, we must say, she's seen as an outcast, mostly because of the affair she had with Proctor. Abigail is a vindictive woman. She is a very, very smart character. So, through the play, we get to see how calculated and manipulative Abigail is. Of course, she's the devil, right? She gets a lot of people in the town arrested by accusing them of witchcraft.
And let's not forget how old Abigail is. She's only 17 years old. For a teenager, to have such a mind at that time, it showed all the Puritans detested.
Yeah, and after having accused people, she went to the trial and testified against them, having them hanged. So imagine how many people she has murdered and has no remorse for it.
So then, when she's confronted by Proctor trying to save his wife from being sentenced to death, she shows how manipulative she is. She gets all the girls to side with her again, and she gets away with it.
An evil and vindictive girl that accused many people in the town of witchcraft and then robs and escapes. You can't imagine a better ending for her.
Yeah, of course, but in the end, she also lost because the proctor for whom she started all this is sentenced to death.
Yeah, in a way, everything she did, all the people that were killed because of her, was not worth it. And she wasn't even punished for that. So, on the other hand, we have Lady Macbeth, who is presented as a strong and calculative woman.
Lady Macbeth is a powerful character. We get to see how she dominates her husband at a certain point of the play.
So, let's think about that. For the Elizabethan times, a woman encouraging her husband in that way says a lot about her and shows how she craved power. But again, they seem to be on the same page.
Yeah, because the reality is that Lady Macbeth's character is very important. You may think she is a strong woman, but she is actually very weak and powerless. We get to see that she's ambitious. She needs Macbeth in order to carry out her plan.
Oh yeah, if you remember the scene in which she tries to kill King Duncan, but she can't because she says he resembles her father. So there you have it.
And we get to her point. After this scene, Lady Macbeth goes on to her husband and manipulates him to kill Duncan. If you remember, she uses something that is very common nowadays by narcissists.
Yeah, she manipulates Macbeth in a psychological way. Lady Macbeth uses her words to hurt Macbeth's manhood and bravery.
Yeah, because she knows him so well that she knows where to stop her knife.
So unable to kill Duncan, she goes and stops her husband's pride. Such a lady she is, right?
So, after Macbeth kills Duncan, she rises to the throne and becomes king, as the prophecy said, right?
Yeah, but what happens with both of them after this crime?
So, Macbeth, after also killing Banquo, realizes he has lost his mind, and his paranoia deteriorates him. But we get to see how Lady Macbeth is consumed by her guilt, and unable to wash away her sins, she decides to take her own life.
So, going back to today's topic, let's put this question forward. Why do we say women in these stories influence men to commit crimes? So, just to try to compare these two women in literature, we have two characters that are manipulative in their own unique way. Lady Macbeth, thirsty for powers, manipulates through words. And Abigail, blind and furious for Proctor's rejection, also manipulates through words and by generating situations.
Also, both of them don't flinch to take their plan to action. One facing consequences and the other one running away from them. One chooses to die and the other not to conform to the Puritan ideology and escapes, leaving over 200 dead people behind.
Yeah, so the influence of women over men through literature is something that many authors have depicted at different moments in time.
Fun fact for all of you, let's not forget who wrote these plays. Each of these plays were written by a man. So let's think for a moment about what that means. How do men see women? Did they want to show something that was happening but no one believed it was like that? Because women at that time were not thought to be that intelligent, and they were also illiterate, at least in Shakespearean's times.
So let's leave a question for the audience.
Yeah, something for the audience to think about.
Do women still influence men to make irrational decisions and take the guilt?
What do you think? We want to know.
So that's all for today. Thanks for listening, and don't forget to check for our next episode next week. Bye!
Bye-bye!